Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have a story up now, something I'm going to talk about in a minute, but about Jaden Daniels, just how he feels night and day different from last year at this time for sure. So you can go there. I'm going to talk about one of the key aspects in that story to me, which is the leadership. And I got an example today that I talked to Austin Eckler about that I think you're going to want to hear, and I think you will like it. Also, at the end of the podcast, at the end of this wrap up, I have a couple minute conversation with Kain Medrano for those of you who want to know what he's been doing and just how he's been going, what he thinks about his camp so far. And I also asked him about a play that he made the other day, an interception, how he was able to make that play. And so a couple minutes with him, that's at the end of this podcast. So anyways, also, a reminder for you gold members, I'll be doing the private Zoom on Monday night, and I'll pick either 7:30 or 8, not sure yet. I'll tell you that on Saturdays, keep you in suspense with that. So anyways, just got to figure out my schedule for that day, and then we will go from there. And also, two more things before I get to my wrap up. Sorry, folks, but I have been mentioning this for a while. I haven't mentioned it for a while, but I've been mentioning the offseason. For you men out there, ask your doctor about getting a PSA test for prostate cancer. Just ask them. Do me a favor. Ask them for me. See what they say. See if you're eligible to get it, because it can help if you are and if you do get it. Anyways, last thing. The stadium vote is Friday. So some of you may be listening to this after the vote. The vote is scheduled to, they're going to start having hearings around noon at the DC Council will, and then they'll take a vote around 1 o'clock. I will be down there, so I will have stuff prepared for if it goes in the right way for the Commanders. I'll have a story regardless. And then there is a second vote scheduled for September 17th. Folks, tomorrow is the touchdown. The 17th is the extra point, or as I say, the 17th is just putting a punctuation at the end of a sentence. However you want to phrase it, tomorrow is the vote that really, really, really carries the weight. It will allow the Commanders to move forward with their plans to get to RFK. They've already been told that by the council. Like, if this goes in the right way, they can start moving ahead with their plans, not having to wait until September 17th. So there you go. That'll be tomorrow afternoon. Finally, again, before I get to the thing, another Terry McLaurin, not an update. There's no update here, but I am curious. And you guys were really good in the comments yesterday, just kind of expressing what you thought about the situation, because I was curious where the fan sentiment was. Now I just want to know a basic thing from you. What would you offer McLaurin? What would be your deal for McLaurin? Give me the years, the dollar per year, and the guaranteed money. The guaranteed money is always what matters. So drop me a line in the YouTube comments about your offer to McLaurin. I don't have to editorialize about anything about how they got to pay him. Just give me your offer, and then let's go. So there you go. Thank you very much for doing that. So let's get to practice. Finally, it took a couple minutes to get there, but here we are. So one of the things I like to watch a lot of stuff early on. So the thing I was watching today is the punt returners and how they're fielding the ball. I was going to do that anyways. And then I happened to be joined next to me by Brian Mitchell, a guy who knows a thing or two about returning punts and kickoffs and what it should look like. And there's things that I've learned from him over the years, or things that I've known over the years, what you need to do. And it's just, listen, man, I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, but it's interesting to watch it with B Mitch for sure. The guy I really like there is Jaylin Lane, and here's a couple reasons why. And man, I had some video of what I was going to talk about. Well, actually, I didn't get the video. I will get it next time. I'm going to try and get it next time they're fielding punts. The one time I got him fielding a punt, it was not a very good punt. So I didn't get the good video to show exactly what I'm talking about. It was not indicative of what he had been showing the entire rest of the series. But when I was able to video it, didn't get what, it was okay, but it was like 9 times out of 10, he did it one way, and the one time was this way. So I don't like to put up the one. I want to get something that's indicative, symbolic of what he can do. But the reason I say that is because the way he catches the ball is just different than the others. And I think he does a better job of getting under the ball, kind of taking a step back and getting his weight going forward on the after he catches it. So for example, like some guys will catch it and they'll be flat footed, right? Or they'll be square. Well, their first step then is backwards, because you've got to plant to go. For Lane, a lot of times, this is something that B. Mitch talked to him about in the spring. So that day that B. Mitch was out there, this helps. So, and maybe Jaylin Lane did some of this before, but he certainly does it now. Well, he's going to catch it, but he's going to have a foot back. So 1 foot back. So your first move now is forward. And it just, that little difference could be the difference between making a guy miss or not. And he also catches a little bit more smoothly than I think the others for sure. Because the others there, whether it was, Kaz Allen or KJ Osborne, like they're not catching it the same way with their feet in the same spot. Getting, taking like balls coming, take a step back, get your momentum going forward. It's just like if you played outfield in baseball, it's akin to getting ready. You're going to try and throw a guy out at second, at third, at home, or whatever. You're going to take a step back and you're going to get your momentum going forward. The same thing here. And I think that's something that Jaylin Lane does well. But again, the one time I caught him on video, didn't quite show that because some of the other returners are gathering their feet and going, and he's just boom, boom. That's what you're going to want. So I think that's something, pay attention to that in the preseason, because that's what I've seen so far in training camp for sure. But yeah, it's, one of the coaches came up to B Mitch after they were done. They're walking over to the sidelines. He's like, if I can get him to B Mitch was like, hey, good job. And he's shouting out encouragement to Jaylin Lane, but the coach told Brian, if I can get him to be half as good as you, ... Like, of course, the unspoken is then they're in really good shape. I think Lane, like, he should be a good punt returner. That's why I like the pick, because as a receiver, and I'm going to get to that in a couple minutes, because there were some plays that jumped out, but there's also some things you see that I did post this video, and I did it for a couple of reasons, but I'll do this in a minute when I talk more about him. So I want to get to Jayden Daniels' leadership. That's the thing that you want to hear about. So last year, if you recall, he was not a captain. He was not, they told him not to worry about being a leader. They knew that would grow organically. They knew that over time that would happen. They did not want him having to worry about correcting a teammate or chastising a teammate. That, the coaches told him, was their job. His job was get the offense, get comfortable. And then as the season goes along, now you get comfortable. Well, now we're seeing it more. And it's not like he's not out there like, barking at everybody like that, but he is more vocal with things. And today, Austin Eckler told me there was a player, he didn't say who had a false start. And they get in the huddle and he told him, get out. We can't have that. Get out. So he basically had the guy run off the sideline and brought somebody else in to take that rep. So that is a different thing. And that, as Eckler said, that's awesome to see in a quarterback. And Daniel said that he feels, George Wallace from WTP asked him like how he feels compared to last year. It's like night and day. But that's one of the things that is the night and day part. He's comfortable with the offense. He feels like, he knows what Kingsbury's going to call, but also he can hold teammates more accountable. He said he's the one who has to uphold the standard. And when that's the case, when you get the players and the coaches upholding the standard, now you have something. And as he said, the one thing that Daniel said, listen, if I make a mistake, I want Zach Ertz or someone like that to hold me accountable. So like when you get your best player, you get a guy like Daniel saying that resonates well. Like, so if you're going to do this, but I'm going to do it to myself too, and he'll do it to himself. And, he'll say like, I messed up on that play or whatever. That's when you have something. So that is a big change for sure. And by speaking of the offense, a better day for the offense. So you can put that panic meter down. I don't think anybody had it. It's training camp, right? But they did have a better day. And I think there's a reminder today. And some of that was, I don't know that the defense was sending quite as much pressure. They're working on different things, but there was also a lot of play action, some movement. I think that helps as well. It was also a reminder of how important Zach Ertz is to Daniels and this offense, especially in the red zone. So the first two passes that Daniels threw in the red zone, they're starting, I think it was around the 10-yard line, both of them to Ertz. So the first one, motions to the left, cuts back inside over the middle, right in front of Quan Martin. Boom, right there, touchdown. Next play, quick play action, slithers out to the right in the right flat, boom, touchdown. Good, quick decisions by Daniels. Though that's what you need. So that helps. And then there were a couple other times where they connected on good routes as well. There was one slant off of play action. And then there was two that showed that Daniels, where I talked a lot about his arm slot, and how different that can be. So there's one over the middle where guy's in the way, just kind of slings it sidearm right to Ertz. It was just a catch, but a good throw. Had to step up against pressure in that one. Good play by Daniels. But then the next one, Quan Martin blitzes off the edge, tries to change the arm slot. Martin bats it down. So good job by Quan Martin on that one. So yeah, but I think that's something that Jaden does pretty well. Then we have a Jaden Daniels dime alert. So this one brought to you by the Bank of Treasury, by the Treasury Bank, right? But it's a dime alert. So this time he actually had two, but the best one was a dime to Deebo Samuel, just a fade down the right side into the right, almost to the right corner of the end zone, drops it in over Carlin Biggers. Not bad coverage, really good throw. So, and that's something that you get man coverage out there, they're going to go to that pass almost all the time. And then there was another one to KJ Osborne down the left side where just again, over the defensive back, a really good play. There then on that one, that was another touchdown. So the one to Deebo, I think was about 15 yards, something like that. But a good job for sure. And again, I told you that Jaylin Lane had a good day. They had a couple of nice catches, caught a deep one from Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman continues to take the number 2 reps. Mariota, another third, I think it's like the third day in a row where he hasn't taken any reps in practice. And again, I don't know that there's something going on because he's doing individual. They're not saying it. But what I do know is I'm almost going to bet that 90% of the snaps in the preseason for quarterback belong to Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson. They want to see who belongs as the number 3. Do they keep a third quarter? Or pretty sure they'll keep a third quarterback, but which one is it? And is it practice squad or on the roster? So, but Lane caught a deep ball from Hartman. I don't know how he got open because a lot of times when I'm watching these plays, I'm watching a particular guy. It's hard to watch the entire play sometimes. You have to pick a guy so you can learn something about that player. That's what I want to see. On this one, I was looking on the left side, on the defense's left side. Lane was on the right side. What I know is he was 2 steps behind the defense. He has speed. We know that. Nice ball. Got him. He also caught another one from Sam Hartman on a post route. This one against, I believe it was zone. And so he just runs a post route. The ball, Hartman delivers a nice ball over the top of Percy Butler. I thought Butler was going to drop back and get that ball. He did not. So but leads Lane to the back of the end zone and makes a nice catch in the back of the end zone for another score. The one thing too with Lane, and this is the video that I'm putting up here. So if you're watching on YouTube, obviously you can see it, but it's about Lane in practice and just the nuances of the route running. And so if you watch this drill, and I started with him, but he goes the route and then you see him go to the back talking to receivers coach Bobby Ingram, who wants him to get back in line and run the route again. So when you watch it, there's just a little detail, they want him cutting off on this drill, cutting off their inside foot and coming inside. He kept trying to break him down and looked like he's cutting off his back, his outside foot, and it just delays it just a little bit. And that could be the difference between a catch and a defensive player knocking down. But that's what training camp is for. Again, when you watch this, they want him cutting. If you watch, Ingram's going to run the route for him at the end of it to show him he's cutting on the inside foot. And that's again, it's detailed route running. That's what separates. I like what I've seen from Lane. He is not the second coming of what Terry McLaurin did as a rookie, but I do think he can help them for sure. And I think the other thing is I think they're going to need him at some point. He's a different player than Luke McCaffrey. McCaffrey is they're different, right? They would offer different things. They can both play special teams. McCaffrey different. But McCaffrey as a blocker is going to be ahead. And I saw that today against Mikey Samerstill, where they locked up and very physical competition there. And he turns Samerstill outside. Samerstill tries to fling him, and they kind of tussled a little bit, and then that was it. But anyway, so with Lane, I think he can help. I don't know yet what his role will be on offense. But let's see what happens with the preseason, because most of what he's going against are going to be backups. So let's see what happens if and when he is facing starter types, what the results are. So anyways, but again, these are the things that you want to correct and what you want to work on throughout the summer. Jacory Croskey-Merritt, another good day. And again, there's the hype train already building that's already left the station for Croskey-Merritt. Deep breath, because you got to see him in the preseason. Again, I tell you the traits. I like the traits. I do have some video of him trying to jump over the bags. There's 5 bags and he's diving over them and it's stacked up. So other backs were doing it. I happened to catch video of Croskey-Merritt doing it. And then I have a couple of things of him running routes, but where you see it, we're not allowed to shoot the team stuff. So if you wonder why, well, none of that stuff, we're only allowed to shoot individual drills, right? So, but on some of the team stuff, you still, like I saw him with a really good decisive cut. That's what I like about him, the decisive cuts. And they talk about the violent cuts. I'll use the word decisive because that's what it is. But regardless, there's the vision with it. And I think he does a good job with that, a good run around the end. I mean, he's a guy, again, I think, let's see what he does because I know you guys are probably here and like you're probably wetting your, kind of rubbing your hands together. Can't wait to see him. And I'm in that too. Like I'm very curious how it looks. I don't know. I know what I've seen so far. Let's see how it translates to the games because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But there have been other backs too here. There are a couple of guys who have like speed and, you see them like, okay, they're fast, but they don't have the vision. They don't have the cut. So what good is the speed if you don't have the other parts? So, and I'd want the vision, the ability to cut and the violent nature. Like I saw him on a run today, just still leaning forward. That's what you like to see for sure. So anyways, there you go. Let's get to the offensive line. So Andrew Wiley continues to work with the ones at right tackle. Josh Connolly Jr. working both sides of the line still, oftentimes paired with Chris Paul next to him, whether a left guard or right guard. That's what Paul is. And, the one thing too, that there was one thing I want to get some video of too, and Scott Abraham from Channel 7 asked about Laramie Tunsil working with Connolly before practice, just on some of his sets and all that. That's the benefit of having a veteran like that. And I know it's funny because one of the things I heard about Tunsil was that he was not that they needed him to be more of a leader in Houston. And then you see this, but I also think he doesn't have to be the whole room leader. He can help with the young tackle, but they have other guys who can handle that. For Biotis, Wiley, I think Allegretti, Cosme. I think all those guys, I think can handle all that if they need to. I think eventually Connolly will be one of those guys as well. So liked what I saw from Coleman on a couple of the snaps today one was against Javon Kinlaw, a really strong base. And I like that. That's what's going to be the separator for him. Can you get that, when you're facing a big dude like that, that's the difference. So anyways, and then, the one thing too with Connolly too, I'm curious to see how do you handle stunts, because that's one of the things I saw today on the right side. There was a stunt against he and Chris Paul, and then Sheldon Day loops to the inside of Connolly. And I don't think he was ready for that because he was kind of upright and gets knocked off balance a little bit. So again, I still see him being more comfortable on the left side for sure. And that's natural. So anyways, the last thing I'm going to play for you is I had a 2-minute interview with Kain Medrano, just asked him about just how things are going and just some of the things he's been able to show so far. And speed will be the number one thing that he needs to show to earn a roster spot. And then not only to earn a roster spot, could he earn any sort of playing time on special teams? So anyways, folks, here's my 2-minute interview with Kain Medrano. So, and how do you feel so far out here? What do you feel you've been able to show?
I feel amazing. I feel like I've been able to show, just who I am as a person and kind of what gives me my edge and what I came here for. And, I've been able to show up on the field day in and day out and just compete to the best of my abilities.
Do you feel you're going to show your speed at this point?
Yes, sir. I've been able to show my speed. I feel like I've been able to show a lot of things that, the coaches liked pre-draft process.
So you had a pick the other day.
Yes, sir.
What did you see on that play? Was there something you saw on that play like, hey, this is not just you're in the right spot, but what did you see on that play that maybe helped you get that?
Yeah, I just knew the type of play we were running. I had to get up the field and then drop back into my thing. And it's kind of crazy how I had a play like that in college. Kind of same thing. I bit on the run fake and then I had to get back into my drop. So it's kind of the same thing as get out. Kind of quarterback uses the eyesight of you. And then vision of you, and then you kind of just pop up and he throws it and you jump under it. So,
what do you think? What else do you think you're hoping to show throughout this preseason that you can help this team with?
Yeah, I think I'm just want to show that I can play inside the box, and then I also can cover. I think those are the two main things that I want to show. Obviously, my speed, and obviously being a special teams force, but being able to help out the defense, whether that's playing inside the box or going in there to guard a tight end or running back in, and them have the confidence that I can do very well.
So last thing with coverage, how different, what you need to read in college versus the NFL, because it's different.
Yeah. I think it just depends on the play and what our play is called. And you know, it's kind of nice. In college, we ran a lot of similar type of defenses. So the keys are kind of still the same. Progression might be a little bit different, right? You get quarterbacks in the NFL that look you off and come back this way, whereas in college sometimes they'll stay to one side. So you know, it's just kind of taking what I've learned now and what I learned in college and kind of combining them together.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to everyone for joining me. Thanks to Keim for taking a couple minutes to talk to me. Again, stadium vote is on Friday. Next practice is on Saturday. So I will have my next practice report on Saturday. I will talk to you next time.